I'm not going to get it done this time.
Upstaged again, mate. Upstaged again. Oh, he's got him! Hey! Arthur, look, there's a dog on the screen. Look, Arthur, there's a doggy. Bean. There's food being cooked out there, so he's not interested. Bean.
He isn't.
Look, Arthur.
He's just look, mate.
Hi, Arthur.
Oh yeah, there you go. It's bribery. Oh look,
Harry, you and I could just walk away now.
We could.
And the viewing could go through the roof. Hi, Scotty.
He's a little midget. Oh, hello everyone, by the way. Sorry, talk about you amongst yourselves for a bit. Yeah. He wants more. He just more. Right, today we have got Olly Tayler on today, who's he's been a bestest friend long before I knew Dave. And there you go, baby. And sorry, I'm rough to toughy guy. I am. I don't kiss my dog's head. Yeah, so he's joining us. He's actually at the moment. You know, Dave, do you know that Nick Knowles takes the mick out of me for being a snow commander when I was a snow commander?
Yeah, that conversation was hilarious.
Well, Olly Tayler, and for everyone else,
snow commander means other things in different parts of the world.
And the thing is, you have to say it as in snow commander, but he can say it in a much lower voice. But he basically, Olly is a snow commander today. He is in a snow commanding meeting for potential snow issues in the southwest tonight.
Have you got any? We will
find out.
Couple of bits.
We will find out because he is in the Met Office is in Exeter, which is just 100 yards, stone's throw from police headquarters. So it's pretty useful. They have 15 super computers or so. I've seen them on a VIP thing. Go downstairs, go into, and they basically serve half the world with their weather, and they are massive, super duper computers. They're a joke.
Tea's just arrived.
So who has arrived? Oh, Tea's arrived. That's good. I've got a selection. Water to start off with. So Olly's doing that at the moment. Because Holden Hill is like a hill, obviously, and when it's snow is on the top bit, you can't get into Devon and Cornwall very easily.
Yeah, mate.
Just completely. And we basically had 1,000 cars stuck many years ago there. And
1,000?
There were.
Is there 1,000 cars in Devon?
They all want to come down to Devon, mate. You know, it's either Yorkshire or here. So there's a system that they use, but they need to be ready for it. So he will be with us at when he can, but hopefully about 10 past.
Oh, okay, cool.
We have because I've known him for many years. I have plenty of photographs and whatever. We've just had so many boys' toys days out, but he's got a very serious job as well. So he's a lead investigating officer, traffic sergeant. And
did he have to get permission to come on? Because we all know how controversial you can be, Harry.
Yeah, he did. He did get permission, but to be honest,
you've got to be on your best behaviour, H.
He's more media mogul than me, to be honest. He will trump me every time. He gets one better, and we will talk about that. But mate, we've got
You're at that stage, Harry, aren't you? Where no one wants to listen to you because you're just a retired, bitter and twisted retired old cop.
I am. It's quite nice.
Oh, look at his little face. He's all hurt now.
No, genuinely, being a has-been is completely underrated. Because I have no responsibilities for anyone or anything now, and I can be my own person. So it could be a trap for Olly. So because I know his real details, but the only thing with that is he knows we've always said we've got enough information on each other, we could push the button and we'd both go up like a nuclear bomb. So we're pretty good with that, mate. Things that have been happening in Twitter, in policing this week, a couple of very sad situations, hasn't there, with Alex Prott, who was Surrey Police Federation. I've got some really sad situation with her. Let's just, excuse me while I sort out the technical bits out with the tweet that I'll just get up there. Here we go. just gonna. So this is. There we go. Add to stream. So people recognise she's quite well known on Twitter and things. So it's really sad. And Surrey Police Federation, all at Surrey Police Federation, is devastated at the loss of our colleague. And she was DC Lower School Prots, an outstanding police officer, a tenacious and award-winning detective, an inspirational human being. Our thoughts are with her family and friends and close colleagues at this time. So that's someone we've lost, and also PC Darrell Street, Sellafield Unit, Nuclear Police. And so again, really sad. They released the fact that it was through COVID.
We've lost a few cops through COVID. Someone else sent me another one today. Sadly, there's no name with it, but he's only in his 40s. And the post simply said, and police officers are still not being vaccinated. I'm sure we will be eventually, but
I mean, my thing on that is we're not pushing in front of the elderly people, as in we. Did you see me say we?
I saw your sharp elbows.
Well, so police officers are not pushing their front, but basically, yes, they're exposed to a whole load more, but also because they're having to self-isolate and to quarantine. Even if they're not feeling ill, obviously, like everyone else has to, and it's quite right. But the problem is they're leaving their colleagues who are completely understaffed and overstretched. And if they were vaccinated, at least they wouldn't need to quarantine. There is some issues, I understand, with how actually contagious you are whilst you've been vaccinated, and there's an issue there. But I think it comes to a point when you need resources on the front line, and
I think the difficulty is, Sue said she'd give up her place for an officer, and we're not asking for that. But what we're asking for is recognition of the fact that we are out there, we are dealing with. We're not in our own little. Well, we are in our own little bubble when we're at home, but we have to deal with the great unwashed.
Yes, that is.
When people ring 999, one of the questions they ask now is have you got COVID? Do you suspect you might have COVID? So when these jobs come out on the radio, they say, the person has tested positive for COVID, and you've still got to go and deal with it. Whereas everybody else is asked to run away from that person, we're asked to go and deal with it. So it's, it is very difficult.
It is there. I just want to put this one up, actually. There we go. There's Annie sent a message. Looking forward to joining you tomorrow. My headset will be charged so I can cook and listen. So we want to know. It just shows how versatile we are. And actually, just remember, you can get this on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter at the moment. But YouTube is the main place you can find us afterwards. Frontline chat, one word. And also you can get things, there's loads of ones, just audio ones like Spotify and that side of things. So just search Frontline chat in there and you'll get all the older ones, all the old interviews and stuff.
I'm going to be a bit mean. I shouldn't do this. I should do it, but I'm going to get Gemma to do it because she knows what she's talking about. So she just wants to do a shout out for this patch. I'll show you the patch and Gemma can do a shout out for it.
So our friend Jenny is making these patches for officers that have helped deliver babies on duty. I think
love it.
She's in the Clatworthy in Exeter. She's got one going her way. It's something that Jenny wants to give back. So you have to earn it. You can't buy it.
I'll buy it. Not available in any shops.
But you contact her. She's on Facebook, Springer's Tactical Patches. Contact her, and if you feel that an officer has earned a patch, not necessarily just this one.
Hide your face.
Hide my face.
Oh, no, I love that.
I didn't have much sleep last
night. Bless her. Gemma was working till 2:00 this morning, and the kids had her up at 7:30. So there you go. You can't buy at any shops if you have delivered a baby on duty, and I have, so I should have one of these patches.
You have.
Then contact who?
Jenny. What was she called? Tactical. She's on Facebook. And it's called Springer's Tactical Patches.
And she will send you one out. Or if you know of a cop who's done it, she'll send you one of these. You can't buy them; they are free. It's just Jenny's way of giving back and saying thank you, and it's a nice little thing to have on your uniform. Yes, I have. I was driving down the street one day, and we were on burglary patrol. This is before dogs, and I could see this man running backwards and forwards to this car. And it was about 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm thinking, that's not right. He might be a burglar. So I went and stopped him, and he was more panicked than a burglar that had just been caught. And he's like, I need to go. I'm running. And he ran off into the house. I was thinking, what on earth is going on? So I ran inside, and there's his wife laying on the living room floor. She's like, just stop it. We're not going to get to the hospital. And I had a look where babies come from, and I could see that indeed she was not going to make it to the car even, let alone the hospital.
You went to the cabbage patch?
Yeah. The cabbage patch.
I'll tell you what, Rob, go on. This is impressive.
Yeah, and we just helped her to deliver the baby. So I think I was already a father at that point, so I'd already witnessed the birth. So it wasn't really a surprise. And then the Ambo crew came in. Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, that might have been the first child.
Johnny.
So yeah, so I helped her deliver her baby. My
Right.
colleague stood there like shocked.
I want to get into the technical details on this because my wife had twins, right?
Harry, we don't need to know the technical details of how a baby is born.
Oh yeah, no, not making them, right? No, but on the badges, right? Because first of all, you get some badge collectors, and they're going to be hanging around. They're going to be hanging around maternity hospitals trying to delay people going in just so they can get a badge. Right. Secondly, right, a very crucial point is I had 2 days paternity leave when my babies were born, and I had twins, right? I had twins, so and so I thought, well, I'll get 4 days paternity. No, I got 2 days paternity leave still. That's so. If you deliver 2 babies, do you get 2 patches? Oh, see, we need. And the other thing, I'm umming and ahhing. Go on.
No, Gemma was asking if Jenny was watching to answer the question. Yeah, midwife.
Right, I'm going with this. Right, so this is the internet. We can discuss things. So therefore, Ollie's just coming into the green room. Hello, Ollie, down there. Right. So the other thing that I just wanted to say I was just going to, because Scotty said this is the internet, you can discuss anything. I don't know if you heard Robbie Williams's comments on when he saw his baby being born.
No? Robbie or Robin? Robbie the singer.
Williams, the singer. Right. He said it was like watching his favourite pub burn down. But anyway, we shall move on.
Oh God, Harry! Oh, you did it.
So no, right, we shall move.
What a great comment!
What I want to hear, that is brilliant. And there was a run up to that, which I'm not going to say at this point because that is past the 9 o'clock threshold, I think, at this point. Right, I'm going to say. Right, I'm going to introduce. Are we ready to introduce Olly Tayler yet?
I think we need a distraction from your last comment. Yes.
I do as well. And what I'm going to do is, the thing is, I don't think I've got sound. We were trying to work out with sound on this thing, sharing the screen, and because I've gone to Firefox, because I was getting to microphone issues and they recommended I go into Firefox. But it's a shame. But if no sound up with this one, at least you'll see some photographs. This gives you an idea of what Ollie and I have got up to over the years before he comes on. Right, I take it you can't hear that. Did you hear that or not? Did you hear that or not? You didn't hear that, did you? Okay. Well, so this will show. Forget the sound then. It's not important. It's annoying.
Harry will talk us through it. Yeah.
So I won't need to tell you. It's literally just about 40 seconds long. So we are pretty young there. This was the police ball when we used to have police balls. And I'm just going to turn the sound down for me. And we have been into lots of Formula One pit passes, flying aircraft like that. Ollie and I took that one up. No, we flew this thing literally. I'm in the back there at the moment. There's Ollie, St Michael's Mount.
Wow.
Flying. So you can see flying Navy helicopters. That's a I had that photograph on my desk, and people assumed I'd been. So then we went and popped across the RAF for a bit of ASC rescue, got lowered down onto lifeboats. He did some Northern Ireland training. It's bikes, helicopters, planes. It's motorbikes that must have been one dreary day we had in Cornwall. He does a lot of serious stuff that we need to just talk about as well. And he got one of those. And I'm like the way, look how high she is compared to him there.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. That's his lovely family, who I've known forever and ever, since then I'm godfather to one of them. He has to remind me which one, because I'm the worst godfather in the world. And that is Olly and I. And we have been frequently accused of being the Ant and Dec of police. But shall we just bring him up? Now he can run away from there.
I think maybe I should go and just leave you two to it. It's obviously a bit of a bromance going on there. Been going on for years.
There is a bit of a bromance, mate, but I'm sure there's...
Let's get him on.
There's room for one more. Let's go for it. Okay. Olly, how are you?
Good evening or good afternoon. Hello, Harry. Hello,
How
Dave.
are you?
Hi,
Dave,
Olly.
Olly, Dave.
Oh.
This is a little bit like two girlfriends meeting for the first time.
I might get jealous of you, Olly. You can have him, mate. I don't want him.
One thing I did notice, Harry, I used to have hair.
You did, mate. But it doesn't matter. You've got intellect, charm, wit, and personality instead now, so that's fine. Well, look, here we go.
Look at all these people saying hello. Oh, the Snow Commander, yes.
Yeah. So can you give us a weather forecast?
Please do.
Yeah, we've got some snow inbound, which is a meeting. I've literally just come from a meeting about that. There is a band of snow coming across the West Country. So we may well wake up in the morning to a dusting, or slightly more, depending on how high up you live, of the white stuff across Devon and Cornwall. But the main message is, in light of what I do for a living, is take care. If you are out, we shouldn't be out anyway, unless it's an essential journey, clearly. But if you are out, then take extra care out there, particularly overnight and into tomorrow morning. Anyway, there you go. That's the official bit.
Yay!
So where do we start? I mean,
wow.
Harry helicopters. I can't think of another H. Harry helicopters and QPM. I'm just from that. I mean,
Harry helicopters and hops, because there's a lot of beer involved usually.
Go on then, tell us. Where's it all start? Where does the bromance start?
Shall we start how we met, Olly, for the very first time?
Yes. But 1995, June 1995, my first day at Paignton. And I arrived at Paignton. I didn't have quite 2 years service, and I'd moved from Plymouth. It was my post-probation move up to Paignton, onto response. And I can remember it fairly clearly, because a couple of days before, I'd been stopped by a Newton Abbot traffic unit. And for doing an illegal U-turn in Torbay. And when the traffic officer, and I can still remember who he was, I'm not going to embarrass him, asked me why he shouldn't stick me on for dangerous driving, I just mildly smiled at him and said, because the chief constable will probably sack me. So he then gave me a slightly sideways look and gave me an old style producer to produce my documents.
Nice.
My first day at Paignton, I had to produce my driving documents. And I produced them to a young officer in the name of Harry, who turned out I was on section with. And that's how Harry and I met.
We did, mate. You'd just come up from Plymouth, and in Plymouth, you'd skied to work once there, hadn't you?
What?
I did have to ski. I had to ski to my local police station on February the 14th, 1993, 1994, which was my first day of independent patrol. That was the very first day. I'd been signed off for independent patrol the day before. And I woke up on the morning all expecting to go into Plymouth. No, I wasn't going to miss my first day of independent patrol for anything. And we'd had a massive dump of snow in Ivy Bridge. And I skied down from where I lived, down the road, across the park to the old police station in Ivy Bridge, where I then got a 4x4 into Plymouth to get me into duty. With my skis left at the police station for to then walk home when the snow had mostly gone that afternoon, looking slightly stupid in ski boots and a pair of skis over my shoulder.
Oh my God, what a great story. So for those that don't know, I don't know if they still do it. When we first joined way back then, I wasn't even aware they had snow all the way back then, Olly, but when we first joined, you had to go through all sorts of different criteria and prove that you were fit enough and independent enough to go out on independent patrol, and it's quite a day, isn't it? That first day, quite a nerve-wracking day as well. That first day you go out on patrol and think, "Oh my God, I'm in charge of me."
I can remember my first job. I went to independent patrol, and I was terrified.
I have no idea.
Burglary at a garage. It was a commercial burglary at a garage in the middle of. I can still remember where the garage was. It's not there anymore, but I can remember that first job when I sent, and the radio crackled into life. Sent my call sign, and I was literally in the car on my own, thinking, I have no idea what I'm doing. And here we are, 28 years later, and I've still no idea what I'm doing.
Do you know, Dave? Do you remember that? Because Olly is one of these really frustratingly annoying people. He has a brain that just takes in this information. So I often have to call him to remind me of my own name, sort of thing. And and we have this thing that I have to still put his birthday. I couldn't tell you now what day your birthday is, right, Olly? And he's reminded me for like 25 years what day his birthday is, and it's just not. I can't do it. It's just
I've got a guy at work. He'd say that he carries me, but yeah, if I ever need to know anything, I just message him, and he's like, "Dave, I told you that 2 weeks ago. Oh, I told you that. I've told you that 10 times already." He's like, "Yeah, well, it'll be an 11th and a 12th time too." But Sean as well, my friend Sean, who's works for the BBC, incredible, the most amazing brain, and his recollection of stuff is just incredible. We once sat in a pub having a beer, and someone said, "Oh, hi, Sean," and asked him how his wife was and how his dog was, and that's all she said. And Sean's blind; he can't. He's registered blind, so he couldn't see her. And he said, "I met that woman once at a party 11 years ago, or something like that." I was like, I don't even know who I met yesterday. Where he could remember from 5 words coming out of this woman's mouth where he'd met her and who she was. Just insane. I don't have that sort of brain, Olly, so I'm not going to give you any old stories because I can't remember any.
I've got loads about Harry. I've got loads, absolutely
anyway,
loads.
We'll go on. We'll move on then.
Go. Harry, shut up.
No. I'm wondering. I'm just wondering, to be fair, whether those that are currently watching would much rather listen to. Stories I've got about Harry from when we first met. There's loads of them. And
you seem to forget, I'm now a has-been, Olly, so therefore I'm irrelevant, you see. This is it. I am, but I'm embracing it. I love it. You two in the room.
That picture is obviously pre-QPM. That's your one of the Queen's birthdays, I guess. So what does a QPM look like? Is that a medal? Does it sit on your jacket? What did you get it for?
So QPM is a standard medal. Nothing standard about it.
No, it's not. No, it is.
I don't know whether it's worth explaining just very briefly what it is.
Go on, mate. Go on, because
just for those that aren't aware,
you've done here.
So the Queen's Police Medal. I know that Dave and Harry will be very aware of what it is. It is I think it's probably best way to describe it is the single highest honour you can receive as a police officer. There isn't any higher honour as a police officer you can get that's for the preserve of the police service. Now, historically, if you look at the lists, the birthday honours and the New Year's honours lists, that QPMs, they usually award maybe between 6 and 10 at each event. But if you look at the officers that get them, I'd say 96, 97% of those officers that receive them are chief officer rank, so chief constables, deputy chief constables, and it's quite often seen as a thank you for years of dedicated service to officers coming towards the end of their time in the higher echelons of the police service. And it is very rare to go to lower ranks. You only have to look through the list to see how rare it is to go to lower ranks. So to be awarded a QPM as a sergeant with about 21 years service, I think at the time I was awarded it back in 2014, was absolutely, I was completely gobsmacked. When I got the letter from the Home Office to say I've been awarded, it was Christmas Eve 2014. And I opened the letter and I genuinely thought it was a wind-up from Harry. I genuinely thought it was a wind-up. And I looked at it and I thought, that's actually quite good. He's done quite a good job on that. He's done all right. Anyway, so kind of Christmas was there, so I kind of put it to one side. And it wasn't until the media started contacting me on New Year's Eve to ask about the QPM I'd received and would I talk about it. It was like maybe it's not a wind up. Maybe it is actually genuine because I'd had no idea I'd been nominated, none whatsoever. So apparently I clearly had been. but it's awarded for. They say, if you look at it on Wikipedia, it says for distinguished and exceptional service. So basically, it was for turning up for work and doing my job quite well for a few years. Basically, that's probably the easiest way to look at it.
No, it wasn't. You must have done something outstanding, mate.
Yeah, you got
Above and beyond.
Statements were spelling correct for a good 3 weeks in a row. That's how he gets it, you know. Right, let me just give you a bit of a history here. This is a little bit of a theme here, because Olly is one of these people. I said to a boss once, just be careful what you ask him to do, because you will get the gold service. He puts, it goes, he hits it. If he was I always said, I'll embarrass him, but if he was a private businessman, he'd be a millionaire. Because he's done several things. You started with Crimebeat, didn't you, Olly? And every time I walked into our previous chief constable many times ago was Sir John Evans, and he used to write in green ink, so you always knew when it was him. And as this was before computers and stuff, pretty much. And his desk always had stuff with green ink all over it saying, thank you, Olly, brilliant job, well done, sort of thing. Crimebeat, basically you started that thing. You did other things like you've done, I want to talk about the honest truth very briefly, really. But I mean, there's things here, the awards, you were beating, you were sort of chairing lots of these things and whatever, and you were beating major charities, and you and your kinsman together, but I've got to say, mate, you were steering it most of the time. We're getting award after award after award with crime reduction and life-saving type stuff, road safety stuff, isn't it, Olly?
Carrie, that picture actually, there is, if I can very briefly say that, can you just pull that picture up again? This was a it was a public relations awards, and it was public relations from across the region. It was a regional public relations award, and it was all to do with public relations campaigns. So we were up against some fairly high end advertising houses and advertising companies that had done things like Olympic Torch campaigns, all that sort of thing. And this was a road safety campaign called The Honest Truth. And we thought we would chance our arm and we would just put in for a whole load of categories. We put in for, I think, 6 categories, 5 or 6 categories. And the first category was announced, and the runners up, or the runners and riders were announced. Yeah, this does make me chuckle. And we got a highly commended, and we thought that's fantastic, highly commended. So then the second category that we were in came up, and we won it. And there was an amazing round of applause, and that's fantastic. And there's this little group of, there's a police officer and a fire officer and somebody from a local authority and a driving instructor, and they've won an award. That's amazing. And we were absolutely brilliant. We'd had far too much red wine at this point, and we thought, that's great. We won an award, and that was it. We sat back down. Our evenings ended. So the next award that we were nominated for came up, and we won a second award. And we were like, oh, well, that's a bit of a surprise. And the claps were still quite nice from all these big sort of advertising executives, and that was all good. And the third category, and we won the third award. And as the third and fourth and the fifth award came through, by the time we got to the fifth award, I think there was one person, the caretaker at the back was the only person clapping. And you can hear the murmurs around this awards dinner. Wow. Of who on earth are these people? Who on earth is this group of people who have got full-time day jobs, who have got all these awards? And then there was one final award that we had no idea about, which was the judges award, and it was the judges award, and they'd looked at all the award categories, all the award nominees, all the award winners, and we won that one as well. At which time we'd kind of, it was something hazy by this point.
No one was talking to you.
Nobody was talking to us. Everybody left in disgust that this little group of committed individuals around road safety. It was all to do with road safety and young drivers. This group of committed individuals who were doing this alongside their day jobs had just walked away with just about every award in that award ceremony. And it was to the absolute disgust of an awful lot of very, very high-end advertising executives and PR executives that were like, what just happened? What just happened there?
So they didn't give you £1 million a year job then off the back of it, no?
No.
And the honest truth, can you just describe honest truth in about 10 seconds, Olly?
Just looking at Mick there bragging now. We got bragging rights for that one, but I wanted to Mick Bland. I wanted to put it into context of how the others at that particular awards dinner treated us, and it was comical. And it was this first award, like I said, brilliant, massive claps. By the by the last one, it was like that. That's all we would get.
It is
So,
wonderful. I love it.
So the honest truth was born out of, it was actually born out of tragedy. It was born out of a horrific triple fatal road traffic collision down in Devon in 2009 that claimed the lives of 3 young people. And it was one of those collisions that it was so avoidable, so completely avoidable. And as a result of that, and in fact, the impact it had on the communities where the 3 young people lived. And it was one of those, this must never happen again. We can never allow this to happen again. And what can we do to minimize the chance of this happening again? Yeah, Paul, I'd imagine you do remember it well. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, some lovely comments coming up here. And a group of committed individuals sat around a table and just thought, what on earth can we do to try and minimize the chance of something like this happening again? And somebody said, why don't we work with driving instructors? Somebody else said, why do we want to work with driving instructors? But that's all in the history. And we started looking around, and actually nobody had done any sort of work with driving instructors in any meaningful way. And that we looked into the possibility, and we had a grand aim of working with 25 driving instructors, approved driving instructors in the South Devon area. And speaking to them, they were delivering road safety. They were delivering some road safety messages within the course of lessons, but they weren't quite sure what to deliver, how much depth to go into, some of the legalities. And we said, well, that's easy. We can help with that. We can provide you with some resources, and you can deliver our messages on our behalf on a one-to-one basis with your students, with your drivers. Excuse me. So that was the idea behind it. And there was a seminar in South Devon, and 25 driving instructors turned up. They were given these Heath Robinson resource packs, which were built from other bits and pieces we've been doing. And at the end of the evening, they said, that's great. And they all went away, happy days. We went back to the office for tea and biscuits, end of story. Except it wasn't. And then we ended up with phone calls from other driving instructors around Devon and Cornwall. And over the following 12 months, we ended up with about 300 driving instructors across Devon and Cornwall who all wanted to deliver this package that we developed. So very early 2012, we sat down as a collective and thought, hang on, we've stumbled across something here. And we took a blank piece of paper and we said, right, let's completely redesign this. Let's totally redesign this. Let's have a look at what we can do. We've obviously got something here. We've got a captive audience. We can get to new and young drivers on a one-to-one basis through their driving instructor. All they need the resources to deliver those messages on our behalf. So the honest truth was born, and it was nothing more complicated than giving new and young drivers the honest truth about keeping safe on the roads. And it was putting as much emphasis on the skills, the life skills around driving as it was about the practical skills around junctions, roundabouts, that sort of thing. So it was just as much about the life skills in making the right decision at the right moment in time when you're behind the wheel once you've passed your test.
Because that must be something for, obviously Harry wore his white hat as well. You must have gone to so many accidents where you just saw that could have been prevented if the person just did that, and you must see it all the time in that sort of situation. So, yeah, hats off.
Absolutely, Dave. And the idea was to start from the ground up, to build a campaign from the ground up effectively, and that's exactly what we did. And we built a campaign; it had never been seen before, it had never been done before. And we used animal hybrids. So we used animal hybrids to represent poor driving behaviours. So we had a cheetah for speed, obvious. Parrot for mobile phone use, obvious. Chimps for distractions, obvious. Rhinos for seatbelt. There was this complete campaign built around these animal hybrids.
Yeah.
And again, along with quirky messaging. So we weren't looking at governmental Big Brother watching you messaging. We wanted something that would appeal to young people. So dying to take that call, for example, and speed is a limit, not a target. We've heard these things before, but by interweaving very colourful graphics and very unusual graphics into very simple messaging, we were able to build a complete campaign. At the height, we had something over 2,000 driving instructors from right across the UK that were delivering the honest truth to tens of thousands of young drivers. And although we can never say, we'll never be able to say we saved a life, that I am adamant there are young drivers and young passengers now out on the roads of the United Kingdom who wouldn't have been out there had those driving instructors not delivered that package. Paula, I remember meeting Paula from Weymouth several times, and a great advocate of the honest truth. and you know, the fact that there are potentially young people out there now who are still alive as a result of being given those messages, and I cannot thank the driving instructors enough for coming on board and taking it on so passionately, because without them it would never have worked, and it was down to the driving instructors. We just gave them a package, they delivered it.
Let us say Mick Bland, just so everyone does know, Mick Bland was taking the mick. He's a lovely, lovely man. Very pro-police, anyone who doesn't, when he was saying you're bragging now, because he is a top guy. I don't want you getting any trouble, Mick. But yeah, no. Tell me, Olly, what are you actually doing now? What's your position in your career right now?
So at the moment, I am a Roads Policing Sergeant. So much like you have been in the past, Harry. So Roads Policing Sergeant for Devon and Cornwall, based out of Plimpton. Run a roads policing section. One of my key roles is as a lead investigating officer for fatal and potential fatal collisions. So go to the real high-end stuff, and I then have the responsibility for managing that investigation from the point of call to the scene management, through to potentially, if I keep the job, it doesn't go into the serious collisions units, which we've got, and if I keep it as part of my continued professional development, right through to either a Crown Court or Magistrates or Crown Court process, or through to the coronial process in an inquest. And seeing that investigation. How many do you go to roughly, mate?
How many do you go to? How many do you go to roughly, or how many have you been to? Do you think in Devon and Cornwall? Fatal road traffic collisions as such.
Countless. Since I started traffic 12 years ago. It's been kind of waves and peaks and troughs for me. Last year, 2020, I went to several, but certainly not as 2019. I think one of the other traffic sergeants in the force said that he'd been keeping account, and that it looked like I'd been to more fatals in 2019 than any of the other sergeants in the force. It's only because he was keeping count.
I know because I know you, and you're talking, because people don't know if it's 2 or 3 here, or what. What roughly do you think it is? Roughly? So they've got an idea of how many.
That year probably went to, I don't know, 15 or 20 that year, which doesn't sound like very many, but actually, you know,
it does seem like many. And I think really I've just got to speak on your behalf now, because I was on the armed response side of things, and often on the same radio channel, and sometimes we'd arrive at the same road traffic collision. You would take priority there. I was an SIO, Senior Investigating Officer, that changed to LIO, and that role was taken away from me. So I was only too happy then to tend the scene, and you be my boss there, really. But it's for people to realise the number of fatalities that you go to, bodies you see, and how, like you were saying before, how incredibly avoidable it could have all been, really. Most of them, if not pretty much all of them.
Yeah, there's such surreal scenes. I mean, I'm a dog handler, so I don't do paperwork, and the stuff that I do, I get into trouble for not doing quick enough. But we get called to those scenes because we're asked to look for all sorts, as you both know. And sometimes that's, you know, we can't find the motorcyclist's head. Can you go and have a look for it?
Yes.
It's a bizarre scene. There's all this chaos and mayhem, and in amongst it all, and it isn't chaos and mayhem, of course, is the traffic sergeant walking around calmly, you know, usually with the bodies still there, gathering the evidence and instructing people. And you're the one everyone looks to. All the emergency services look to you. You are the kingpin in that situation, in amongst all that chaos. And you know, I normally do my bit and then bugger off, and you're still there hours and hours and hours and hours later. So I take my hat off to you.
You're absolutely right, David. It's a really interesting question. MB7 Star, how on earth do you cope with dealing with so many fatalities? I've become very clinical about it, to be honest with you. And by the time we get that call, so by the time I get the call on my radio, that job's happened, that collision has happened. I can never change that. There's nothing I can do to change that. But what I can do is I can investigate it to the absolute best of my abilities, along with a very dedicated and very professional team around me to be able to do that, so that actually we can then provide the answers to the families of those that are left behind. What happened and why did it happen? Because at the end of the day, they deserve to know. The families deserve to know what happened. So if I can do my bit to to achieve that. And again, as hard as it sounds, I have to treat that scene like a job. It is a job. I can't allow myself to become emotionally involved in it. I have on occasions. I'm not ashamed to admit there are occasions when I have. There are occasions when I've cried my eyes out of a scene because of the circumstances. And yes, there are things that you will never unsee. There are sounds you will never unhear.